Everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, the Beat LLC, and we are going to talk a little bit about some metals and unbox some silver, some osmium, some postcards, and chat about some metals. So, welcome in. I also have Space Miner here with me, keeping me company, keeping me on track. Mr. Space Miner, welcome in. How you doing?
Howdy, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. All right. So, silver's performing well this
Yes.
this week going into next. I think I have a feeling we're going to break into the 60s come next week. That's my guess with it. What say you with silver? What do you think's going on there?
you know, we've seen a couple we've seen a couple challenges to the overall market, and every time it's responded with a newer high. And it would leave you questioning how high can that support go. That like would be your first thought, but really thinking about it, you know, it could be supported for a long way. And and I don't think there's anything slowing it down really.
Indeed.
So no resistance that I can see. Outside of like, do we have enough money to keep buying? Right, but
Yeah.
I'd say again, we're such a little like the consumer market, like our private little secure markets of 1 ounce rounds and 5 ounce bars. And like we put a very little dimple in the market. It's primarily driven by industry. So
Yes, which I would like to point out. I mean, amazingly, there's quite a few people selling, which is understandable because you're breaking over some of those highs, but it's now it's just starting to move. This is what we've been waiting for, and I think that we're going to see, you know, huge upside from this point on. To me, it's really not the time to be getting out. And like you say, to be pointed out is retail is such a tiny aspect, especially here in the States, for silver. Um, and as it starts to rise and we get some investors who are not normally looking at the metals come into it, that's going to tighten it up for the industry as well, and that's going to make them recalculate and come in stronger. And that all of this is just going to increase the demand and therefore increase the price. And so I think we've got a kind of a snowballing from here.
yeah.
So Jake's Custom Parts, welcome in. Cat73, good to see you. Nick Bermudez, good to see you. I owe you a phone call. Sorry I haven't got back to you yet. Think Differently 3000, welcome in. Good to see everybody. We're
Howdy,
gonna
y'all. So good to see you guys. I'm glad to see everybody here for this. We got a couple good things. B's going to be unpacking some stuff for us. So
we got I believe a couple channel rounds that have been poured by 3D Woodworks. He's got also a stacking channel. Go check him out, 3D Woodworks. And so I'm excited to see those. It looks like I got a postcard from another stacking channel called Silver Oceans, and I purchased something from him fairly long time ago, and it's interesting because every Christmas I get a card from him, so it's very impressive. Go check Silver Oceans out as well. He's got a good stacking channel, and it's very, very nice, and I'm appreciative of him for continuing to send me a card every Christmas. So that's pretty impressive.
yeah, that's some really nice and considerate business being done there, isn't it?
Indeed, for sure.
Talk about putting on a service.
Yeah. It's a good example for our community. And then I've got another package coming in from Germany that we'll get into. And then a little bit of vinyl before I get out of here. But I want to, what do I want to do? I want to start with this card here. And maybe that will remind me what I was just going to say, because I kind of forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, yeah, so silver. Um, Silver is just starting to take off on a tear, and this is what we've been, or people like me, that's why I started my channel, more because of the what I believe will be the changeover, the reset, lots of different terminology for what's coming, but the dollar is rapidly losing its purchasing power. And that's what this channel was started for, was to try to bring awareness to that fact and bring more people into the metals, be it silver, be it gold, be it platinum, palladium, osmium, whatever it is, which will take us further into this subject. One of the things that me and Space Miner have been talking about is, how deep you can get into these metals and looking at their different characteristics. And me and Space Miner, of course, have got into osmium as well and kind of done a deep dive there, and are looking at the ins and outs of that new metal that's been brought to the precious metals market. However, when looking at the public, there, I think, you hear some people talking about silver and gold who are not stackers and not used to looking into the metals, but silver and gold have outperformed all the other stock market, well, I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of the normal stock market commodities and other, industry and whatnot. And silver and gold have been just kind of outperforming lots of this stuff. And I think, they don't understand why. And where's the dividend when you buy silver, and why would you buy silver? And it's just something that they don't have their mind wrapped around yet. And I think that's all going to change though here, because it's not something that's going to turn around and go down, because the again, the power of our purchasing power in the fiat dollar is what's really declining, which is going to bring more demand into all these metals, all commodities really, but especially the monetary metals that have been held down for so long. And so it's interesting to see people starting to question, like, gold, gold. Oh, the central banks are, well, why is silver going up? Well, why would, so they start to get into the questioning of, why is silver going up? Why is gold going up? What characteristics do they have that are causing them to perform so well? And that's where me and Space Miner get really interested in it, is because of the aspects of the metal, because of their unique capabilities. And so I think that will drive a lot of these other metals. And yeah, so I think the precious metal arena is going to get interesting. What say you, Space Miner?
I think right there at the end, you were kind of making a point, about the elemental drive of the metals, right? From like just an elemental perspective. Cause like I approached them a little bit closer from the element side of things, like osmium as an example, that appealed to me on the elemental side less than the financial side. It was only later did I build on top of that the financial basis, because I recognized the inherent industrial needs, and responses and market responses like that, right? So I'm all in for brand new technologies and we can, and in my mind, what makes precious metals precious is exactly their defining qualities, and this is what we ultimately end up needing to use in our technologies and in our industries. And at the end of the day, every metal has a purpose, you know? And
Yeah,
so,
and it won't be just one purpose. The other night we were talking about osmium, and one thing I was saying that I think I want to touch on a little bit more is, our history was based off of the introduction of some of these new metals, the Iron Age, the Bronze Age, and on and on. And when the photograph production, when we used so much silver in photography and that went away, so many people said, oh well, there goes the demand for silver. And you could say that about all these different metals and all their different uses, so many different uses and so many different reasons for using these metals. And when one goes away, another one pops up. And the more that technology evolves and grows, the more reasons we're finding that we need more silver and more copper and more gold and more of these
exactly,
other metals.
exactly, right there. Yeah.
And also even now rare earths, which are not rare, but just getting access to them. And so this is going to bring demand to the board that we're not used to seeing. And it
Well,
could,
can I pause you right there to kind of make like a philosophical note here? Is
please.
that like we had kind of like brushed on the subject earlier about like skepticism and a little bit of like backlash to the people that were invested in this, right? There's a lot there was a lot of investors in precious metals that for a long time were treated like we're talking about the tangible, right? Like people bringing home physical bullion and putting it in safes and burying it in chicken coops, you know, like these were tinfoil hat people to a lot of people. There was a cultural perspective going on here. Okay. This was two philosophical mindsets at war, for years and years and years. And now we're still going through it. And now we're experiencing like another phase of this, another generation of this. There's a whole new market out there, and, you know, we're all now the older generation. Each generation is now the older generation.
Yeah.
So, I swear I had a better point to this, but we see the arguments over and over and over, and you know, for against metals, only to find out later that they're like ultra crucial. Nobody worried about rare earths. Oh, they're everywhere.
Right.
Like rare earths aren't actually rare; they're everywhere. Well, that's true of some rare earths, but turns out some rare earths are more rare than your gold. You know, and so like we're talking natural occurrence or whatever, but like here we are again and we're arguing for tangible physical goods. Like that's what's really going to matter. And like get it, and people are starting to come around to that when their paper is faltering, you know, and
Yeah.
they ride out the wave of paper. You have
Yep.
to see the paper through something physical and tangible, and you're going to need a metal that's useful. I speculate based on the inherent qualities of each material. So,
Yeah. And I want to point out here what Jake is saying, which is something that me and Ian and some on my channel have been talking about for a while, which is bricks backed gold trade, which I've been saying gold trade for quite a while. I did kind of think that it wouldn't become a currency, but it turns out they have released the unit and it is 40% backed by gold. And to me, that's where all the value is. However, I should have thought, of course, they're going to want to keep some manipulation availability there, which looks like they have by going with a currency unit. So it actually will be a tradable currency unit, from what I understand so far. I haven't done a deep dive, but the bricks have officially came out with a gold-backed unit. So
well,
uh,
how about that?
big news there. We've been calling that on this channel for a while.
Yes,
Um,
we have.
so I think you can back that. You probably heard me talk about that before, yay, Space Miner.
Yeah, yeah. This has been brought to the table a couple of times, couple of ways, you
Indeed.
know, and it always comes back. Listen, it always comes back to the real life commodity. At the end of the day, it
Of
has
course.
to be produced. You can leverage futures, you can do puts and calls all day, right? But at the end of the day, there's got to be a product there, you know.
Yeah, and
Product that I for.
before you jump more into the commodities and their aspects, which I would like to dive a little further into, I want to point out, if you see up top scrolling across my screen there, it says welcome to the Beehive. And the newbie subscriber at the moment happens to be Arcadia Economics, which is Chris Marcus with Arcadia Economics. I've been following his channel for the longest time. I have great respect for that channel. It's a great channel, Arcadia Economics. I'm sure most of you know Arcadia Economics, Chris Marcus. Of course, we see Jake's Custom Parts in here. I greatly appreciate him hanging out in the channel. And I'm very proud to see that I can actually say Arcadia Economics has subscribed to my channel. So this is a proud moment for me. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate Jake being here as well. He is the moderator over on Arcadia Economics. And we see him in many other great channels as well to do with the metals. So there's some of us here that have been following the metals for quite some time with the thought process that what is happening now was going to happen, and it looks like it's finally starting to take place, maybe a little bit later than we originally had figured, but it is here. And not only that, the BRICS currency is now here as well. So, but I also see down here a new, someone else new in here that I'm not used to seeing. Glass W6G, welcome in. I'm glad to have you here with us. And yeah, thank you. And then 3D Woodworks popped in. Good to see you, bud. We're just getting into your package right here. So yeah, thanks everybody. So sorry, Space Miner, getting back to the commodities. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to
No,
appreciate.
that's okay. You gave me a moment of reflection on the subject, and I'm kind of sitting here thinking, like, when we left commodities backed currencies, okay, our fiat, when we left gold, right?
Okay.
You know, uh, there was still a trust in the dollar, like being paid back again, right? And we said, hey, we'll do this through our thriving economy, our big bolsterous economy, the one that was built on gold, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, we there was a certain trust unit that was like incorporated. It was kind of like a futures bet, right? And and you're saying, I believe that this will be worth more and more because we kind of had the economy and the powerhouse to do it. But as our production economy dwindles, and I believe it dwindles with our loss of trade ability and trade communication, you know, lack of trust in us, pretty much.
Yeah.
That that that's we've been seeing the slow departure of trust through the departure of our own productive capabilities because we've been leaning on these for many years we had these huge economies that we were partnered with in the traditional sense of partnership, right? Like, meaning we respect each other here and we need each other here, right?
Yeah.
And we did powerful trade through this, powerful trade, and we were able to start creating these mega structures and mega facilities and mega production plants and whatnot, right? And but as that trust was dwindling and we were cutting back and outsourcing again, and we started outsourcing again, because we were getting ripped by our politicians, and they made it, it's definitely not beneficial for a lot of these large companies to produce here competitively in America, right? You have
Yeah.
to outsource, is what they say. And so then they come back and fight with the terrorists. Well, guess what? We've been crippled from the inside and out. And at the end of the day, they don't trust that our economy will return because the further we get away from the gold and silver units in our dollars, the further we get away from that, the more meaningless it becomes. We invalidate our own position on the daily, right? And so all we're left doing is responding to the situation as like investors, right? Because we're not a huge drop in the bucket, right? In the whole scheme of things. And so all we can do is respond. And so as long as we start recognizing that, look, the dollar's not the primary trade unit anymore. And now people are just looking to actually get the real goods, because
Yeah.
credit on that doesn't mean nothing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely hurt ourselves. The whole system, since leaving the gold standard, has kind of been designed, whether purposeful or not. I actually lean kind of towards purposeful, but
I'd lean
um,
there too.
if even if you don't, it's still set up to hurt us in the long run. Now, initially, it was good because we were able to move production overseas from here. We didn't have to produce anymore. We could just print dollars and we got goods in. But the problem with that is we lost all our means of production in doing so too. And now that all of that value has been dwindled out of our fiat dollar, now we're left with an unvalued dollar that people don't want to do trade with anymore. Plus, we don't have our industry to trade in goods anymore. So we've really kind of kicked the legs out from under ourselves here.
Yeah, we tied ourselves up in red tape is what we did,
There you go.
in red tape and tax. We're bound in a lot of ways economically, like where even when American businesses are trying really hard to produce with American parts, by the time they get out their American product, it is just so phenomenally more expensive to produce than it is to you could have 10 units for the cost of that one.
Right.
And even if you try to prohibit this through tariff, the tariff's still cheaper. That's the problem here. The tariff is still cheaper cost to pay than it is to produce. That's a real problem because we haven't invested anything here, because every time we invest in here, there's a couple select policymakers that decide that they want their greedy little grubs on your goods, you know, and they strangle you every time you get started. And now the only ones that can get started are through like collective enterprise, you know. And so it's unaffordable, to do business anymore.
Indeed, indeed. So
Sorry, that's so long-winded.
no, no, that was all good. So a couple things in the chat. Welcome in, Nickel. Good to see you. And Jake asks, when can we super chat? Well, super chat when I get enough subscribers for super chats. However, I do have an app that allows me to receive tips. So if you just put an exclamation point tip, it pops up, which I did, but I do not expect you to tip me. I just wanted to show you that it's possible, and I appreciate the question. Then we got Think Differently 3000 in here saying, Bullion Now podcast last night. The owner of the company, Michael Pepper, a big bullion dealer in Melbourne, was asked about investing in rhenium, which is very interesting. His response was, where do you liquidate it? Well, firstly, to have him be asked about it is awesome, because like we were just saying, a lot of people don't even know about gold and silver and the intrinsic values within gold and silver, let alone some of these more rare precious metals like rhenium, like osmium, like indium, and on and on. But so funnily enough, in America here, we just had after a bullion dealer that I work with out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Ian at Arc Silver Gold Osmium, he's been talking rhenium for a couple years now, saying this is going to be something that is going to take off in the market because of supply and demand fundamentals. And sure enough, it really has since he got into it and invested into it. He's sold quite a bit of it here in the States. And after selling quite a bit of it and getting some more, Ian, on the live streams I do with Ian on a bi-weekly basis, was saying that the USA has actually put out a contract now, looking for a large amount of rhenium. And if I have it right, it was more than the yearly supply, the yearly mine supply of rhenium. And so it was a large buy contract for rhenium by the United States of America. And no one had the amount on hand necessarily that they were looking for. So where do you liquidate it? Where, and that's been a question like with osmium too. These
The
unique,
refineries, it really is quite simple. You aim at the refineries and the recyclers, and and
and you have it so when the demand shows up, you're ready to supply it. And so with these newer metals and the smaller markets, just because there's not a large liquid market for it does not mean that there won't be in the future. And it's having it in the meantime while in wait for the demand to be there. And the uranium demand is starting to show up, and there's not enough to go around. And so where would he sell it? Well, right now America is a big buyer, and I doubt it was such a large order. I doubt that order has been filled. And in rhenium, Ian also said that I believe it was Boeing, in their jet engines take up 80% of the yearly mining supply. Just one company, Boeing. So, you know,
yep,
and so there's going to be more and more demand, especially when you have something like the US coming out with such a large contract. So yeah, where all do you liquidate it? Well, that answer is going to be different for different people in different industry, but getting into it before the demand happens is where commodity investing benefits the owner of whatever these unique metals are, because when the demand shows up, if you have it, you're one of the few people who can provide it. And so that's kind of where you're the good part about being in these metals before the demand shows up. But
and we
what
got as stackers, and investors, we have to do our due diligence. We have to take the time to research and do our research and find where we're going to liquidate this eventually, and we have time. Any metal that we're sitting on, if you just exercise a little bit of time, slow down and kill the panic mode, usually the opportunities and the options arise on their own. Like B was mentioning here, was you know as rhenium is needed more and more and more, they'll start sourcing out on their own. They'll reach their own fingers out. They'll create new new spots to collect this, and they'll find new ways to collect it, and they'll put out the wanted posters for it. It's not really a problem. You just got to reach out to a few people and they'll point you in the right direction. And
Yeah, and yep. A couple other things. So nickel says rhenium is up 76% this year and 167% the last 2 years, which is sweet. 3D Woodwork says, I prefer to use the tip that LLC has set up because super chats are taxed by YouTube and LLC only gets 50% from the super chat. Great point. Thank you for that, 3D Woodworks. Also, 3D Woodworks, if you you said you were in your shop. If you have your cameras set up, I'll send you over a link, and you can come unbox these pours. These wonderful. I'm sure I haven't looked at them yet, but I'm sure they're great pours. If you want to hop over and are available to hop over, let me know, and I'll send you over a link.
That'd be cool.
And
Can we say, or I want to respond to Nickel real quick. When I started, you couldn't buy rhodium either. And that is like, boom, yeah, that's the point I've made a bajillion times. We have been through like any metal that you're questioning right now, like I don't know, just think about it. We've been through this with a whole bunch of metals already, a whole bunch. Like we've 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 experienced all the same arguments over and over and over, just applied to different metals. It's the same arguments every time, you know. And at one point, like there's still people today that will beg the same question of you with silver and gold, you know, like what do we do with this? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to let it go? Right? How am I supposed to preserve my value? Right? Like all valid considerations. So not to demean the question, because
right,
not, but the answer is the same answer you're going to find in every metal. Somebody out there's dealing with it. It comes from somewhere. Somebody refines it. Somebody processes it. Somebody uses it, and if you can just target yourself and be ready to respond to your environment, you could recognize certain red flags like rhodium. Exactly. Rhodium is considered routine now. And there will come a time for each metal. And when rhodium was introduced, one of the biggest problems was, what do we do with it? It is such an amazingly difficult metal to work with. How could we ever do anything with rhodium? You know, and then, but rhodium meets the same kind of criteria as rhenium, as hafnium, as osmium, as platinums, you know? And so we
yep.
just want to be like completely aware of a complete world out there with complete markets and complete demands. And here we are in the metals. We didn't choose oats, we didn't choose propane, we chose metal, you know? And so,
So, Jake, I'm underneath where I said exclamation point tip. The stream elements pops up a little link. If you click on that link, it will take you to a page where you can tip me. But again, you really don't need to. I mean, I greatly appreciate that if you do, but it's definitely not needed, but greatly appreciated, and that would be the best way to do so. If not, don't worry about it. Appreciate the thought. I believe 3D said he's going to try to join us. His Wi-Fi is not the best, but we might see him in a minute. And in the meantime, here is the little note that I got from him. It says, howdy LLC the B. It's been a while. Sorry for the delay. No worries. It's just as much my bad for not getting a hold of you and hashing out the details. He says, I have enclosed number 8, 9, and 10 of the Ionia of Ephesus B and Stag Pour, along with some stickers and COAs. Awesome. And 8 and 10 are toned, and 9 is raw silver. Later, 3D Woodworks. Awesome. Thank you, 3D. So I might set these to the side in case 3D pops in, and we'll open those up when he gets in here. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead with the Germany package and get into that. So, yeah, so like Nickel was saying as well, the place where you buy it from is awfully often a good place to check if you're looking to sell back. But you can usually sell back to the place you bought it from. But yeah, I mean that's the thing about these unique metals. You don't want to buy them necessarily for their liquidity, right? And that's why if you're looking, that's why I always talk about having your base of silver and your base of gold, because if you suddenly need liquidity for whatever reason, you can, silver and gold are the most liquid commodity there is worldwide. And that's what makes silver and gold so great and so liquid is everybody understands it and takes it, or a large percent of people do, much more than some of these other metals. So if you're going to get into some of these other metals, you're not necessarily doing it for the liquidity. Or at least what I'm doing it for, is getting into it because it's such a slim market there, and so therefore you can buy up a larger portion of it, and then when the demand does show up, that's when you can supply it. And so you might have to hold it for a while waiting for that demand. And that's why you would, want to have the base of other metals, so that during that, in the meantime, while you're waiting for that demand to show up, in case for some reason you run into a place where you need liquidity, well, then you can just, cash out some of your silver and gold, and then wait for that demand to show up. And the good thing about having the rare metal and waiting for that demand is, when that demand shows up, being at such a small market and found in so few places, you're going to have a large premium or a large gain on holding it for that amount of time, and having it and being able to provide it when the need is there.
And again, with this basic supply and demand issues, any metal that you aim at that does not have a shelf life like rhenium, it's nobody's stacking reserves of this and selling it off bit by bit. Like, the whole load is going. As soon as it comes out of the ground and goes through the refinery, it's hitting the deck with somebody else. And these are really captivating markets when you've had the opportunity to get in early, and how would you have liked to have gotten in on gold when it was available and affordable for a kilo, right? Well, a lot of these you can jump in on kilos right now for reasonable prices. Kilos. And so when these metals start correcting, like against like natural occurrence and production occurrence, and then you weigh that over like current consumption demands, I mean, you've got a winning strategy, but it only works if you get in while it's affordable. Once everybody's already running with it, well, then you're just running with the crowd. Sure, you can make a little bit,
Right.
but like, if you really want to win, get in early. Just take it. Like, it's kind of a gamble in a way, but it's not a very painful gamble because you don't ever really lose. You just sustain value or move up, So
Yes, indeed. That's kind of the key. You got to be there early, and you got to have it when the demand shows. Otherwise, you're not going to get those larger percentage gains. So that's kind of that's the benefit. And often the large benefit comes because there's a larger risk there. That's just kind of how these things work. And so you got to be able to put the risk in there, and then you're running that risk because maybe the demand doesn't come right away, or takes quite a while, so that can be risky in some people's eyes. But if
yeah,
the
I've been waiting a long time on indium, but I've been spending the time grabbing some extra indium where I can. Indium. Like, I'm sucking it up right now. Like, I'm gonna have me a nice little pile, and when the time comes, and it will, because we see it every time with every metal. Hopefully I'll be in position. In the meantime, I'll be communicating in money metals, silver and gold,
Yep.
platinum occasionally.
Yep. I can also.
Buddy of mine, he was invested in rhodium a long time ago when everybody called him like crazy for it. He was a tinfoil guy, right? Like, they've shamed us for years already, guys. It's okay. That, like, there's like a certain sense of shame, that people want to put on you when you start going tangible. Okay. But my buddy invested in this a long time ago when people were fighting against it, saying, what are we ever going to do with it? It's difficult to mine, it's difficult to process, so yada yada yada. Right. But when the demand came, and it flipped through the roof. Well, he was holding a nice little pile of rhodium and bought himself a house and had some money left over. You know,
Yep.
like
That's
like
where big gains can be had, is that risk can be frustrating for a while, but when it hits, that's what the risk and wait was made it worth it. So
which is most likely to sell at 2,000 gold or rhenium? Answer rhenium. Rhenium is needed more than gold in industrial.
and that's the what nickel, even though this is kind of pulling this out of what nickel is saying, that's kind of the key to these things, is again back to their intrinsic values or their unique characteristics to each metal. And that's why rhenium in that case is more valuable, because just Boeing, like we're saying, in their jet engines uses 80% of the mine supply. When that demand showed up for Boeing of, oh, we can make a much better jet engine with a much longer life, which will give us more demand and it is needed, that puts
Guaranteed market. It creates a guaranteed market, pretty much.
right. Indium, soft metal used for flat screen TVs. Well, there you go. Think differently.
Yeah, and like a bajillion other things too. It's amazing. Like you can't go on modern life without rhenium, tantalum, indium, so on and so forth. You just need them at the end of the day. You just plain old need them. Yeah. But that's just me, like, look, this isn't financial advice. It's just, this is what I've done and this is how I filter it,
Yeah,
what good in this metal,
yeah, and there's so much, like, this is kind of a new area. It's new for me too. Like, because I've only been in the metals for like 7, 8 years now, whatever it's been, 9 years. I don't know what it's been now, but um, but you start to learn about them, and then you start to learn about their unique characteristics. And um people right now, like I'm talking, a lot of them don't understand even silver and gold yet, and that's, it's going to take a while. Like their first question is, well, what do you call that space miner that you normally get with stocks where they just pay you some money over time? It slipped my mind.
dividends.
Dividends. What's the dividend? Oh, it doesn't have a dividend. Well, what are you getting into? It's a different it's a different type of investment. It's different than stocks, and so it takes a while for the mindset to kick in. But once the mindset kicks in and you start to understand, it's the actual intrinsic value of each metal. It's the unique characteristics of each metal, and then that brings an understanding and a demand and vision into the market, and that's what's going to make some of these markets explode, especially because no one has looked at them for so long, and not understood their values, or that there's these other unique metals, because a lot of these are just being found. Osmium is pretty much brand new. I mean, for thousands of years we've known of gold and silver, but it's only been a couple hundred years that we've known about osmium. And a lot of the uses that we're using now for it, they didn't know or understand when they first found it. So it takes a little time for the use cases to develop themselves. But osmium being the most dense, the hardest, some of these characteristics are where that demand is going to prop up from. Because, well, where can I find something that's really, really hard and really, really dense, and I need this for this? Well, have you heard of osmium? No. What's osmium? And then boom, there's an industry created, and that's the one thing that makes it work best. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, look, in all fairness to the paper traders, right? I'm teasing you, calling you that, but for real, like when you're there, it's we're not talking about the same kind of response to the market. We're talking about a different end of the market, completely different end, and so like what these guys are doing, don't get me wrong, can make you a lot of cash. It can make you a lot of currency. It can make you a lot of zeros and ones, right? But think about it this way too. You know, when 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 these other nations are communicating in commodities, right? And they don't trust our dollar anymore or want the dollar, whatever it is. Maybe they legally can't communicate in the dollar, right? And they got to start communicating in commodity units. Okay. Well, our government still needs to be able to like pay up to do business. So they need to actually pay up in real life commodity now. Could potentially be part of this structure, you see. It's a risk we could run into if they say no, we want commodity unit, you know. Well, now we got to produce a commodity unit to the world in order to do business for things that we're not set up. And so when that happens, whatever commodity you hold is going to be a high value commodity unit, you know. And so, but this is the nature of a commodity market. At the end of the day, the commodity has to be there and it has to be fungible, you know, on some level, right? It has to be consumed, directed, whatever. But, you know, trading on the market will make you a lot of cash. But when the zeros and ones aren't getting communicated with anymore, you're going to want to shift your value into what's going to be the next hot commodity, which is tangible. It's the follow up to the paper. That's my opinion. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that's it. When you find that use case and it turns out to be Boeing jet engines, you can't supplement a bunch of paper contracts. You need the physical, real metal, and there's a finite supply, and who has it, and how do I purchase it, and that's where that comes in, and that's where you can benefit if you're
Yeah,
there.
when you buy from Boeing, you're buying into the guy that's buying the metal at the end of the day. You know, when you buy into Boeing, what part of what you're buying into is that you're trusting that Boeing's going to do their job and go and buy a bunch of metal. You know, like you're hoping that they would, right? That you put your money in there, they're going to build you something. Well, I mean, so what? So why, you could jump to the other side of that equation and be that supply contributor, you know, rather than just speculate the contract, you know.
Right.
So
Okay. Let's see.
it's not a better or worse, it's another side with another financial, strategy.
I
Minimum.
only like stocks that pay dividends. Yeah, right. And that's I like dividends too, but it's a whole different ball game.
He says I like my pet rock. Yeah, isn't that what they call golden silver pet rocks? That derogatory like, if I'm catching that reference, you know?
AI could push silver to $300 an ounce in the next 5 years. Indeed, indeed, it's not crazy.
I don't know, man. Was I talking out in the clouds on that? Or,
No, no, I don't think so.
you know,
Okay, we are going to let's see.
oh, no, Dave Ramsey. Oh my. What a controversial,
Oh goodness.
yeah, duplicitous person. Duplicitous. I'd like to, it's funny, like the guy's like absolutely like against like debt structures and stuff, which like cool, right? And then into privatized finances. All right, cool. And then he's like metal pet rock. And you're like, what? you know, how do you make that kind of like logical jump? You know? And
it's it's kind of a thing. Well, firstly, you have to understand the bigger picture that it was suppressed and we went off the gold. We closed the gold window for a reason, and it's been suppressed for a reason. And so, when you're up in the big crowd and the big game and on the other side, you often go along with the narrative per se. But, I am not part of that group. I'm on the other side. I'm the little man, and I'm looking for any leverage I can get. And so when I see a manipulation or a talking down that doesn't add up to reality, I see that as my possible gain. And I seen that in silver 8 years ago or whatever it's been, and have been getting in it since. And that's where that knowledge of them wanting to communicate to the public that, it's just an old relic, and you dig it out of the ground here and you rebury it in the ground over here, and it doesn't give you any dividends. And it well, that may be true, but you have to understand the full bigger picture of, what why was it ever valuable? What makes one metal different from another, and why were all three metals valuable but valued at different levels? And you have to start to understand the whole process and game. And then once you see that and you understand why they were wanting it manipulated down, well, that's the very reason that's going to drive you into the market. Looks like we got 3D Woodworks showing up into the beehive. Let's bring him up.
Woo woo.
Howdy, folks.
3D.
Dude, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys too. You guys been going on some adventures, man. I am jealous you guys getting out there to all those conventions and stuff, and
Yeah.
man, seeing the stuff you guys are putting out with the Osmium inserts in the and watching that one the other day. That's something I got on my to-do list, is to get one of those fully loaded
Right. It's fully loaded cylinder. Those are sweet, man. Yeah.
cylinders. Yeah.
Call them osmium load cylinders, and yeah, they're pretty sweet indeed. And they were a pretty hot item up at the New Orleans convention there. Everybody was buzzing about our booth the whole time. We were fairly talked about there at the New
Uh-huh.
Orleans investment conference. I think it's kind of been building. I wasn't there the first year, but I was there last year and this year. And last year we had, a pretty popular booth. And then this year, if anything, it was just even more popular. So, it usually takes people a while for them to, see something and hear about it. But it just seems to be finally kind of taken off, and people are finally really interested in it. And so it was a lot of fun. And being around, you know, people who understand the rest of the metals, that helps so much. And they're excited to talk to it. They want to hear about those different unique characteristics that a lot of people don't know or understand about. But when they want to hear about them, then that makes it that much more fun. So
Yeah, yeah, being able to explain how it's, one of the hardest materials in the world. And I think when I think about that, it would be almost cool to have whenever you guys go and do that, have a display where you can have a piece of osmium that you could scratch something with.
yeah,
Uh,
no, yeah, yep, that would be a good idea. Yeah, the most, I need to grab my list, but it's up at the top of the nobility list. And so, like, corrosion wise, it just does not corrode. So it's one of
no.
the most noble. It's unforgeable because of several different factors. One of them being it's the most dense natural occurring element known to man. Um,
Hmm.
it's it's the rarest stable element in that, and it's more abrasion resistant than diamond. And
Yeah.
once you put it into the crystalline form, it's the most inert of the metals. You can't drop it into like an acid that you can, drop silver or gold into certain acids and they'll become liquid. Well, it's so inert that these acids won't even touch it. So yeah, there's a lot
Yep.
of unique characteristics. The density and the hardness to me are just, huge points to bring out. Not only
Uh,
is it the rarest of the precious metals, to be the rarest precious metal and then have the characteristic of being the most dense and the hardest. my goodness, right? Like that's there's going to be some major use cases for that, So what do you
Yeah.
got there on the table? Let me pull you up here a little.
Oh, we got a little bit of gold. So
Oh,
I've
sweet.
been trying to collect some gold, some natural, gold. And so that's probably about 5 grams or so of nuggets and stuff that
You
I've been
found that
collecting.
personally out panning or something, or?
No, not all of it from panning. I found some of it from panning out in the wild. I've been buying some of those. I got a couple of those bags of gold, pay dirt bags, because I just have fun running it.
Oh
And
yeah,
I've been
cool.
3D printing these little things to separate the nuggets out and stuff,
Oh,
and did the 3D printed sluice box, and then I did this 3D printed gold. It's called a gold catcher. It has a bunch
wow.
of bunch of little boxes that stack
Yeah, kind
one
of
on top of another.
segregated, graded. Yeah, what would you say? Steps, bunch of little steps
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that goes back and forth. Yeah, well, I've been experimenting with different things to try to find out how to get some gold, and without having to buy it, and it's
Right?
not very.
That's the best way to get it.
And I even got, this is gold dust that I got from down on Ocean Shore with Humble Stacker, and
Oh,
we got a
cool.
bunch of 5-gallon buckets of black sands and brought them back. But it takes a lot of gold dust to be able to weigh anything. That
I
was like
suppose.
hundreds and hundreds of specks of gold in there, and it, I can't even measure it on my metal detector.
Oh,
But
cool. That sounds fun though.
yeah, and I've been picking up some of this, some gold coins too. These are just like 10th ounce, but had some fun being able to do that. See which ones I could, pick up. I think I got the Isle of Man and the Gold Eagle 10th ounce.
Sweet.
So yeah, there's a couple of my gold pickups that I got lately. But
Cool, man.
it's like I got the fever.
Right? No, it's understandable to catch that fever. A lot of us catch that
Uh
thing.
huh.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, now that you're in here, I'm going to go ahead and open up a couple of these pours of yours. I
Oh,
know,
right on.
and I also apologize. I know should have done a better job of getting a hold of you, and I've just been so busy and so many different things, but I appreciate you kicking out up to 10. And I wanted to
Yeah.
say, um, maybe now that we've done 10 of these, I'll give you a call or something. We'll talk about it, but maybe coming up with another mold, like my first 10 might be on, my B repping the channel. I really like that, but we could do some
Yeah.
of the other ancient coins that I've purchased, and we could do some other pour, like 10 of the next ancient coin I had, and we could keep working up
Hmm.
like that, or something I was thinking, but
Yeah.
yeah, look at
There's
this one.
there's lots of different molds out there that we can get to be able to do something like that. That's 100% doable.
Yeah, that might be fun, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, look at this. This looks awesome. Good job on the pour there. Wow, look at this thing. Let me zoom in here on this. This looks like quite a piece here.
Yeah. There's one of them turned out a little heavy, but
Wow, look at
yeah.
that.
Wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
Dude, that is fantastic. And
That is a great pour.
dude, and the polish on that too looks great. Oh, look at that.
That's
Yes.
a great pour,
Yeah.
both sides. That's a killer pour right there. That's
Dude, that's
awesome.
phenomenal. I
Good job.
think that really
Yeah.
is like,
Thanks.
I think it carries the tradition really well, like, or it carries that antiquity, you know,
Hmm.
like that sense of it. I
And
think that was really nice production.
I
And there
kind
you
of
go.
went around the outside edges and left some of those like ripples, or actually had to put back into it some ripple type effects because I think it looks better like that.
Dude, that's awesome. That looks great. Very impressive. Nice COA to go along with it. Stickers and yeah, and even an osmium sticker. I guess that's just a
Yeah.
very cool. Awesome. Well, I'm impressed just from that one. So good job. Now, and these other
Yeah.
two are toned, you say. So
Yep.
check these out.
Yeah. Antique toned.
Antique. Yeah, there you go.
I think those more represent the actual coin than the really ultra shiny one.
Sure.
But
Great packing job on these.
I was trying to, over the time, I'm trying to figure out how is the best way to package it without overdoing it, because I've had some guys, I think even you, be like, man,
Whoa! Hold
we got
on.
this secured in like Fort Knox.
Dude, check this out. We just got a tip from Jake's Custom Parts of $50. Jake
What, Jake?
is
That's
crazy.
awesome.
That is amazing. Thank you so
Wow.
much, my friend. That was I appreciate that so much. That was so cool, dude. I greatly appreciate that. I think my software should show that. I don't know if I missed it or it's yet to show up, but either way, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Jake's Custom Parts. Yeah, that's just greatly appreciated.
And
Right?
that really is the generosity of this community, though.
Right?
It's just so many people contributing to the culture of this. I love it.
Yep, and Jake's contributes in lots of ways to this community. I love him even if he wouldn't have tipped. But thank you so much, man. That's awesome. Couple more great stickers from 3D Woodworks, and then let's check out this tonnage. Check out the tonnage. Man, another good pour. Look at these pours. You're doing good pour work there, 3D. What's your trick?
With those, so those are two-sided graphite mold, and in order to get those to
Oh,
pour, I have to superheat. Like I heat the silver up high as I do copper. Copper melts a little bit higher than silver, so I have to heat it
yeah.
up really hot, and then I get a blowtorch on both sides of that graphite mold in order to keep the mold hot enough so that when you pour it in, it doesn't. That way, it'll fill the entire mold. It took me a few tries to figure out the technique to get to do it.
Oh, look, and we got our stamp. That's right. You're stamping these LLC.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Even on the read, that's dope.
Dude, look at that. I'm liking it, man. Good job.
That attention to detail, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and look, like
Yeah.
you're saying, you got a little bit of ripple over here on that. Actually makes it look much more authentic too. So this is awesome.
Yeah.
You're doing
Wow,
well.
that's incredible.
That's too
Yes.
cool. Number 8, guys. Good job, bud. That's good work.
Because when you look at the original coins, none of them are perfectly round. None of them are perfectly, the outside edges always have some kind of detail to them.
Yeah.
How many
It'd be
pours
good.
do you think you've done?
Oh, I think I've probably got, I would say around maybe 250 different various pours that I've done. I haven't done a lot, but I've done enough to where I know how to not burn myself.
Knock on.
That's awesome. It's starting to it really does show in the work. It does.
Yeah, no, these are actually really, really impressive pours. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, they're low porosity and
Mhm.
very, very detail, capturing, and that detail really is that surrounding temperature, that mold temperature is how you can capture those tiny little sharp points and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so true.
Yeah, silver's got a long way it can go before you have to worry about it like boiling off or something,
Mhm.
So
Oh, I've done that in a crucible before. Got that stuff too hot and made it boil.
Oh, I bet
It
that was
does.
scary for a second.
I got to admit, think differently. I am jealous of you Australians and the gold that you guys find. Like I'm
Oh man.
I'm watching you guys over there go metal detecting and with the mines and digging in old mines, and just like he's saying here, there is plenty of gold to be found here in Victoria, Australia. A guy I know goes detecting between two closed mines and has found more gold than panning. Showed me a 2 ounce nugget he found. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's massive.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that can change like a regular person's life around like real quick.
Hmm.
Right.
That'll
Yeah,
solve a lot of people's problems right there.
that's no joke. Yeah. Dude, these are great pours. I'm actually really impressed with these 3D. You're doing really good.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't have a lot of time to work in the shop doing the jewelry and stuff. I've been really working, putting in a lot of hours at work, and I'm trying to buy some property, and so I've been full on into that. Getting every bit of extra cash has been going to that. I made a couple of exceptions here and there when I seen some good deals, but um, I just I wish I had more time to do it, and that's the whole idea of buying some real estate, is so that I can have a shop and be able to maybe get a video a week out again.
Well,
Yeah.
3D, I just got done leveraging a whole bunch of metal for work for land on my part, right? And I couldn't have done it with strictly based on currency. I couldn't have done
Hmm.
it. It really took me like saying to them like, look, I'm going to pace this out, right? I'm going to pace this out. But in the meantime, all my extra cash went into the metals. The metals came up,
Yep.
and so I got free payments and stuff essentially out of it. And
Yeah,
so
it
have
made me
confidence.
angry. That made me angry. That same type of thing where I had to cash out all my metals in order to buy fiat, in order to have
But that's what we
seasoned
do it
money.
for, man. But that's what we do it
Oh,
for, right there.
but
You did a
yeah,
responsible thing.
we're getting a stack back together though. I got some, not just some coinage. I got some. I got to go out and get 20 ounces of uh, SI bars the other day,
Yeah,
and
that's a nice sleeve.
yeah, one at a time. You just go out and get what you can get. Um, it's not. I found that it's bad to have that competition mentality where I gotta get as much as the next guy. I just get what I can
No,
afford
no,
when
yeah,
I
you don't
can.
want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Look,
I can.
at the end of the day, like that silver or gold is worthless until you spend it,
Yeah.
you know? And and at the end of the day, we're just trying to all survive here on the planet, right? We need our
Hmm.
house, we need our food, we need our water, and then we need our luxuries like vehicles and
Yep.
influences and stuff. And but so when you're selling your metals, like don't let it hurts for a second, but remember, like you got more out of your value than you did your USD, you
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah.
so you got free
For
money out
did
of
for
it,
sure.
or consider it
Hmm.
a discount off the purchase if you want. But
Hmm.
you know, and and now that you've done it, it's over, and now you can just go back to stacking again on a debt-free lifestyle, you know.
Yeah. And that's, after I got the amount that I needed to have set aside, then now I'm finally at a point where I'm able to do some of that, here and there, pick up some extra goodies.
It
And
builds quicker when you're not paying bills, right?
a bunch of these little trinkets right here for making jewelry. This was a fun score. Uh, they're like little beads or something, but they're silver, so it'll
No,
be fun.
cool.
Oh, cool.
Some smiley faces, and I live around the Navy, a Navy area, so I got a bunch of Navy ones. And
What are those like
just
little 5 or 10 grammers?
um, I don't know. I'd have to get the scale out. It's been so. I think they're
10
maybe
gram, I
5
bet.
grams. I'm not sure.
8 gram. I'll final vote 8 gram. There it is.
8 grams.
That's my vote.
I'm gonna go grab a scale. We'll find out.
Okay, well, I'm opening up some vinyl here I got in the meantime while he's grabbing a scale.
What's your bet?
All right.
What's your bet? Make a bet on that bead.
On weight?
Yeah.
I didn't even see the screen of what he was holding up, so.
They're little silver beads.
I'm going to say that is, that's a good 6 grams. 6 grams.
5. I think they're like around 5, maybe 6.
Yeah. I'll take the 5 since
Anybody else want to chime in before it's too late?
What's your pick there, Space Miner?
I picked a high of 8. I'm leaning as high as 8.
I got 5. Space has got 8. 3D's got.
I think it's in the middle, like 6 or 7.
What's chat got? 5, 6.
Chat, throw it out before he throws it up. Oh, what's your weigh in?
I can't see the chat, so I'll take you guys' word for it. Sorry, guys. I don't have an alternate device right now.
5.5. Nichols says 5.5.
Uh-huh.
It's trying to split our bets there.
Hey, who gets the 5s? He's nickel.
All right. There's 2 different sizes too, so we'll see which one weighs more, smiley face or the navy.
Oh yeah, because they would weigh slightly different, huh?
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna throw them up there.
Right,
And we're gonna go grams here.
All right, there we go. Thanks, B.
All right, grams. Oop. That's 4.
Oh, I win! I win!
4 grams. Uh-huh.
Is that the one you were holding?
Yeah, that's the navy one, and the other one is 3.5.
Oh wow!
So they're small. They're pretty small size. 3.5, and that little one was 4.0.
Yeah, so they're a little over a 10th. That's pretty cool though.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like picking up fun things like that, and that doing stuff like that, and like these little tiny. I think this is like a gram or something, a gram of pamp gold. I would make some cool jewelry, You'd be able to put that in a ring or something.
This vinyl I ordered from overseas, it has arrived, and I like that they packaged the vinyl outside of the sleeve because it has broke through on the edges here. So that's nice to package it with outside the sleeve like that in separate packages. I will have to take the vinyl out and give it a close check. It actually does look like it's in mint shape as it was labeled. So it's always scary with vinyl. Some people label their vinyl as mint and it's all hashed up when you receive it. So grading can be a big deal. Grading along with shipping in vinyl is like a big deal. So
it really is a nice alternative investment too, like tangible music,
Yes, yeah, a lot of people wouldn't realize that, but obviously your return investment on vinyl is much greater than your downloads.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and you're going to need an assistant device either way, and this is the quickest way to the music and one of the purest ways too, right, B?
Oh, for sure.
Like one of the easiest to replicate, but also one of the purest sounds.
Yeah, that's something that is interesting about vinyl is it can record a lot and play back a lot of sound that gets eliminated for sure. Like the worst form is like your MP3s. Those remove lots of music artifacts and then compact it and then amplify it. So it actually, like if you listen to MP3s loud for a long period of time, and it can actually cause a headache. Whereas if you
Really?
in its natural form with even sounds that the human ear can't hear, but it makes it much more soothing, and people find that they want to listen to more and more when you're listening it on vinyl. So it actually like can soothe you much more. Whereas removing some of it, squishing it, and amplifying it makes it harsh and hard. It sounds really loud and clear, but it's a whole different effect. So yeah, there's a
Well, and also the vinyl would record the stroke of the up and down as well, like in a gradient, whereas
Hmm.
digitally it's on off, on off, on off, on off, and so you're
right.
getting bombarded with this in essence compared to you know.
Yep. Yeah, Nickel would know, especially in the early days of like bands and what do they call it? Yeah, where you're just recording live instruments directly into onto tape or onto vinyl or whatever. You receive all the highs, lows, stuff that you wouldn't even hear on ear, but it it's real and innate. It's much more natural, and that carries through on vinyl where you lose it on these other elements. So
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I run the soundboard at my church, and that the difference between a good quality vinyl and a played out MP3 file.
it's a
Um,
big difference, isn't it?
yeah, it's amazing. And a couple of my uncles, they spin records just like you, and they
Yeah,
got some fun stuff, you know.
awesome.
And so I've been around those. I've been around some records for a while, and it was funny. My grandmother had old records, and they tried spinning those old records like clay records on their Techniques turntables,
Yeah,
and my grandma threw a fit. Don't you be ruining my records.
right on.
Do you
Cool.
take any interest in other types of art, 3D? Like, I mean, do you invest in any kinds of art? Or,
Art.
yeah, maybe
Um,
not invest, but maybe collect, I should say.
I I do like art, but I don't have much of an art collection. All of my money pretty much goes to, if it doesn't make me money, I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah, I'm
So,
a pirate at heart. I'm a treasure seeker. I can't help myself,
mhm.
you know.
And my I love making art for other people. Um, Almost all the stuff that I've poured or anything like that, I've given or sold it to someone else. I've kept very few of my own pours even. Um, like my real estate agent lady, I just did a pour for her and toned it, and um, that's my way of, I gave her a heart. That was my way of showing her my appreciation.
Yeah. Oh, that was kind of you, man.
And I love giving things back to people who do things to reward me. So
Do you
that's
think
kind of
your
where it's
artistic needs are being met?
my artistic needs.
Yeah, like as you've been doing this, like is it really
Oh
like
yeah,
or are you like finding like a need for like color or greater like dimensionality? You know, like are you looking more into like three-dimensional pours or are you like or have you actually
yeah.
decided that you like two-dimensional pours, anything like that?
I've been actually trying to 3D print stuff. I haven't even ran my 3D printers for like 3 months, but I was getting into where I was 3D printing molds and doing pours off of the objects that I was 3D printing, and that was really fun. Kind of like SG Stacker, um, kind of like or SGT, kind of like how he does. And I've been uh, I've been experimenting with different mediums too, like wood and stuff like that.
Yo, I like wood
And
pours. I
yeah,
want to, if I'm gonna pour, that's gonna be some of the first pours I do is into some wood, different hardwoods. See how they, different
hmm,
woods handle it. That'd be cool.
yep.
My first pour was directly into a black walnut. It was,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was a pour through actually. I had to like
Mhm.
grind both sides, you know.
Hmm.
Jake,
Oh,
thank
wow.
you so much for hanging out with us, and thank you so much for that tip. It was greatly appreciated. I hope to see you soon. Thanks for hanging.
Nice seeing you, Jake. Thank you.
So there's a funny sticker on this vinyl here I'm opening. It says, "Warning: Opening this package will cause extreme happiness." I was like, "Oh, that's a nice sticker."
That's cool.
Somebody picked that sticker, man.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. We'll open this up and we'll probably wrap this live up. I didn't want to go too long, but had some fun here on the night anyway. I appreciate you 3D Woodworks for popping on here to open up your pours, and I greatly appreciate your great pours. That's awesome. If y'all don't know 3D Woodworks, go over to his channel. He's got a YouTube channel. Go check it out and subscribe to him. And of course, Space Miner, he's got a YouTube channel. Go subscribe to him as well. I greatly appreciate both of you coming on here tonight with me.
Thanks for having us, man.
I'm gonna have to find something to do with these bee snacks, honey sticks.
You're gonna have to
That's
eat
right.
them, bro.
And hey, those are so that's
My
four.
nuggets.
Those are 4.9s fine copper, and that's actually a higher grade copper than all the normal copper rounds you find in the stores and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So you got a high grade copper there,
this is nice.
and at a
When you
great.
feel metals and it feels like this feels good, like this feels good, uh, it feels better than a cut up chunk of wire that you don't know what's in it.
Yeah, cool.
You know, I've been thinking about like the copper investing, that if I was to ever like really sink my teeth into it, I think it would be for me, just me, copper pipe, copper sheet, copper wire. I think that would be my strategy for copper, you know.
Yeah,
And
I get it off of work. Like they throw so much away whenever they're
Yeah,
doing construction.
yep. Construction. I
And
used to work construction all the time, and there was so much copper. I had lots of copper, and I didn't even pour. You just take it with you because you got to take it off
mhm.
the job site, right? So
Yeah, I got like probably 3 or 4 5 gallon buckets that I'd still have to strip, but I'm trying not to do anything like that until I get moved. Trying to calm down, I guess.
yeah, that's why a lot of these lesser like transmission legs, now they're just using copper clad aluminum for like short distances and stuff,
Hmm.
you know, because people been jacking them for their pure copper in like
Yeah,
extreme places, you know.
yep. But the aluminum can't take they were using all aluminum and it couldn't take the heat. They would get a short circuit or over amperage and the aluminum would just melt. So now, like you're saying, they're putting that copper on the outside and of the aluminum to keep it from melting out.
cool. All right. Well, I think I have unboxed what I needed to unbox, so I think we'll probably start to wrap this one up for the evening. But
Yeah, that's a nice little package run you had there.
yeah, it was. It was a fun unboxing.
Well, it was diverse too, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got osmium, we've got silver pours, we got some vinyl. It was fun. And a card from Silver
Yeah,
Ocean.
thanks. Cool. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate that. I'm glad I caught it whenever I did. I just got finished putting together a bicycle with my son. He sold 8 ounces of silver so he could buy himself a fancy bicycle.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, I was proud of him. He worked hard to earn that money to buy the silver. He's at a 35 dollar cost average.
Oh, nice. Talk
Yeah.
about a score.
Yeah.
Yeah, he learned a lesson, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly how it's done. A reward, at the end of that,
Hmm. Good to teach him how to save, and then a good way to put his money into metals, and then go down. We went down today and got like another. We went to the silver shop today, pick some stuff up, and take my son with me so he sees how it works. I even had him in there banging stuff with the pocket finger.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, keeping it in the family, the transfer from generation to generation, and getting your mind wrapped around the you know the value proposition may not be the same for that generation, but just wrapping your mind around how things are working and why there was an opportunity here now will help, in whatever is to come, just to get a grip of what's going on is a good idea. So
Yeah. He said, Dad, you listen to those silver things so much on the YouTube all the time and everything you do. He said, I think I'd like to get silver too.
nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Lead by example, right?
Yeah, my boys, I have, they've got their own little stacks, and since the values shot up there, I was, telling them some of their values, and they're like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Oh, he's like, when it was hitting 55, he was like, "Hey, Dad, did you hear about this?" I was like, "Yeah, buddy."
Nickel says his nieces will take a cruise with his silver.
Good on you, Nickel. Good on you. Yeah.
Cool, guys. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap this one up. Everybody out there in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. And we will be back tomorrow evening with a spin and bin. And we got some videos coming out here soon. And so stay tuned. And we will catch you all on the next one. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. See
Later,
you guys
y'all.
later.